Can your friends and family members testify in your custody case? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchel, the owner of Kinchel Law, a family law practice based out of the Philadelphia area. Now, when you are getting ready for your custody hearing, you're usually preparing your evidence, but you're also thinking about who's going to testify in your case. And as always, we remind you that you should speak with an attorney licensed in your state about the facts specific to your case. But in today's video, we're going to talk about a few things you should consider when deciding who should testify in your case. All right, the first thing is going to be the amount of time you have. Now, this is something you can do something about if you do it in advance. First, you need to understand how your particular county and your judge typically schedules their hearings. For example, in Philadelphia, some custody hearings are scheduled for 45-minute to 1 hour slots. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't go over for your particular case, but if you go too far over, you might end up having to have your case rescheduled. So it's important to understand how much time is generally allotted for your case. And if you believe that your case is going to require additional time because of the amount of evidence or the amount of testimony you need to have in your case, you can file the appropriate motion or request in order to request a semi-protracted or protracted hearing, which means your time is going to be extended from a couple of hours to maybe a half day or full day or multiple days. So it's important for you to do that with enough time for that request or petition to be considered by the court. Okay, so that's the first thing, is understanding how much time you have and trying to do something about it if you need to do so ahead of time. Now, the second thing that you should consider is when talking about lay people, which means friends, family, just people who are not experts, you want to think about what they bring to the table. What is their testimony going to show? Now, generally, most judges are going to assume that the parties you're going to bring on, if they're your friends or your family members, are going to say, hey, he or she is a great parent. We kind of get that. We want them to bring something new to the case. So it may be good to have a character witness, especially if there have been issues or challenges regarding your character or something specific. So it might be good to have someone who can come in and testify that, no, he's a great father. I often see him with his children love him, so on and so forth. But you also want to think about specific instances. So, for example, if there was something that happened involving the parties and the children on a specific date, and this other party was there and they can testify as to exactly what happened, that would be a potentially great witness to have. Now, again, the idea of most custody cases is not for you to relitigate your entire life and parenting with the other parent and your child. It is really to kind of make sure that you're looking at the 16 custody factors and what ultimately is in the best interest of your children. So when you're deciding which particular situations are of importance to present testimony on, those are some of the things that you want to think about. So if you walk through, and that's the third thing we're going to talk about, the custody factors. If you walk through the custody factors, you'll want to look at what evidence you have to kind of argue your position on each one of those things. Some of them won't require a great deal of evidence or even testimony. For example, the one factor that goes into the proximity of the residences. So how far you live apart from the other person. That is generally something that most parties can agree on if they both know where each other live. However, if there is some argument about where one party actually lives, that might be something that you may want to present testimony on, whether that is having someone who lives with them or someone who happens to know where they tend to stay, especially if your child isn't old enough to say for themselves where they are when they're with the other parent. So that's kind of an idea of how you want to look at the custody factors. Make sure you have enough evidence to present your case, and also using testimony evidence from friends and family members to help bolster your case. So the three things that we covered today is understanding how much time you have and making sure you're filing the proper request or petition or motion, depending on your county, to get you the amount of time that you're going to need to present your case. The second thing is thinking about what the person adds to your actual case. Are they a good witness? Some people are great friends, but they are not great witnesses. The third thing you want to think about is, how does this help me in determining the custody factors? What I generally do for my clients is that I give them a questionnaire, a 16-factor questionnaire that we use to kind of talk through the custody factors. So instead of just looking at the list that comes in the statute, it reframes the factors in a question. So it says something like, for example, which parent is more likely to encourage contact between the other parties? And so what I do is I usually walk through that with them, and then I typically ask them, well, what's the worst thing they're going to say about you? And sometimes that helps you to be able to think about what type of evidence they may be presenting or what type of witnesses they may be asking to appear, especially if you don't get a notice in advance of who's going to be testifying in the case. All right, I hope this video shed a little bit of light on choosing your witnesses and some things to think about when you're deciding which people are going to be testifying in your case. And again, another reminder, we already said it once in the video, but I'm going to say it again because this is definitely important when you're talking about strategy and your case. You need to speak with an attorney licensed in your area about the facts specific to your case when making these types of decisions. If you want to talk to an attorney from my office, I put our website and our telephone number down in the show notes. Please leave us comments. Let us know what you think about the 3 things that we talked about today. As well as let me know if there's any other topics you would like us to cover in our videos. Hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell, because that way you'll receive a notification every time we drop a video, which we are doing every single day of 2021, and it's going to cover custody, divorce, and support. All right, until next time, take care.